sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
From the world-famous Blackbird Studios, it's the Rave podcast. And now, Rave X.
Oh, hey there, winners. Thanks for tuning in to the Rave X podcast, episode 104, Crazy Train. I'm your host, but definitely not your Negro, George Washington Carver. All right, man, so we're going to get into some serious stuff this episode. You know, I did the last episode, and I kind of tackled some stories in the news. And a lot of people liked that. They were like, hey, man, I liked hearing your take on the news and stuff, and I didn't really even know about those stories. You might have heard about this one, man. A guy choked out another guy on the train, you know, and he choked him out, and the homeless, sort of mentally ill guy, he ended up dying. And so now in New York, they're trying to figure out what the heck they should do, you know? 24-year-old Daniel Penny choked out 30-year-old Jordan Neely on the train in New York. And, you know, he ended up dying. There's video of this. There's footage of this. I wouldn't suggest watching it because you're literally watching someone kill another human being. But, you know, I wanted to chime in on just some of the things I've experienced while riding the train. And it's gotten out of control. I mean, I labeled this episode Crazy Train, not to be, mean to mentally ill people, but riding the train in the MBTA, especially in the Boston area, it's just become absolutely insane lately. And it used to take me about 47 minutes to get home. It takes me sometimes an hour and a half now because I will have to get off the train. It's so bad. All of the people who are homeless, mentally ill, and look, guys, I call crazy people. That's how I grew up. If you're running down the platform in your underwears with a plastic bag over your head screaming, I'm a little teapot and begging for money, we just said that's a crazy person. And I know now with labels and stuff, it's like, don't call them crazy. They are experiencing mental... Bro, when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't matter. Call it a banana. It doesn't matter to me. And yes, if I can smell you from 20 feet away, and you live under a bridge in a cardboard box, I just call those people homeless people. I know now it's like individuals experiencing homelessness. Guys, when you change the name and definition of things, you're not helping it. You're just making yourself feel better. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, the trains in Boston are absolutely infested with mentally ill homeless people. And I've contacted the T. I've tried to do things and, tell them, hey man, just move them out of the train cars or get them out of the stations. I understand when it's cold, fine, let them stay there. We're not trying to be savages here. But there are people who are going to work every day, and you get on the train and it's early and you're tired. Maybe you had band practice the night before, you played a gig the night before, and you get on the train, and then the train goes a couple of stops, and just the most disgusting, rancid smelling homeless guy who's mentally ill will get on the train and start screaming at the top of his lungs. I have video of this. I took a video maybe a couple of years ago, right when COVID hit, of this guy just screaming at the top of his lungs, and then they'll get right up in your face, and I mean 6-7 inches from your face, and go, excuse me, you got any money? Can I have some money for a sandwich? And you're like, dude, look, we live in a society where you shouldn't have to tolerate that. Now, if I could snap my fingers and help these homeless mentally ill people, of course I would. But at the same time, it's my problem, but it's not really my problem. There's 7 billion people on the earth. Some of us are going to be a little off our rocker. We've done this thing where it's like they have just as much right to the world as we do. I don't think so, man. I don't believe that. I don't believe that someone who is clinically insane has a right to camp out on the train and, stink up the place and then get in my face and beg me for money. I'm sorry. I don't think that that's okay. And I know I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and they'll say, oh, but they need food. When you give a homeless person $1, all you're doing is you're keeping them on like a drip of life. They're not thriving. You're keeping them on like an IV drip of life, just day to day to day. And I am a huge believer in survival of the fittest. Now, you can learn more about humanity by watching like National Geographic than you can by watching actual human beings. You have lions who kill gazelles. You have gazelles that have to run from the lions. Is it horrible? Yeah, it's pretty horrible. I mean, lions will eat a gazelle while they're still breathing. But this is nature. What human beings have done is society. It's different than nature. And guys, I used to work security at like a shopping mall, a big shopping mall in the Boston area. And we would get these homeless people in there all the time. And they would be, there was this one homeless guy who would like paint his face like Michael Jackson. Like he would put on makeup and he'd paint his eyebrows black and he'd put on lipstick and a wig. And he'd go around bothering people for money. Well, the people who are shopping on Christmas Eve or they're trying to buy their kids a goddamn Nintendo, they don't want to deal with that guy. So we would escort him out. And then he'd turn around and he'd come back and we'd escort him out. But I have a friend who still works security at that very mall, and he says, now the thing is, the word from up high is, don't escort them out unless they physically assault someone. So we're sort of letting the inmates run the asylum in a sense. And on this day in New York, maybe a week ago as you hear this, 24-year-old Daniel Penny was sick and tired of it. In a sense, it's like Bernard Goetz. Remember Bernard Goetz, Bernie Goetz, in like 1980, was it 2, 3, when if you rode the T in New York, you were going to be robbed. Like it wasn't, I hope I don't get robbed. It was, I wonder if I'll get robbed this time. And Bernard Goetz had gotten robbed and roughed up a few times by hoodlums on the train, and he got sick of it, man. You're allowed as a human being to get sick of stuff. And we live in a society now where they go, oh, no, you have to tolerate it. I actually heard something the other day where they were saying, someone from New York was saying, if you think that you're not going to ride the train and be assaulted by homeless people, you have this bourgeois, uppity attitude. No, dude. America, from a certain point, I can't say from the beginning, but maybe from the beginning, we tried to make things more civil than, say, a third world country. People aren't running around in America hacking each other's arms off because, you're from a different tribe than we are, which does happen in other countries. I've heard the stories. I've been to other countries where they'll see you on the street and just shoot you and go on about your day. We try not to do that in America, although America's getting kind of crazy, right? The whole point with America was to be civilized. You cover your mouth when you cough, you wash your hands, you shower, you try to be polite, hold the door for people. That's what made America cool, right? Is that we're trying to be civilized. But lately what has happened is we've decided, you can't judge people. If someone's crazy or they're assaulting you on the train, you can't judge, hey man, why do you expect to not be assaulted by a homeless person on the train? So 24-year-old Daniel Penny saw this guy, 30-year-old Jordan Neely, as a threat. Now, Jordan Neely got on the train and started screaming, I'm hungry, I don't got nothing to drink. He took off his jacket and threw it on the ground. He said, I need money, I don't care if I die, I don't care. And he starts yelling in people's faces. And Daniel Penny probably experiences this every day, as do I. And he gets up and he locks the guy in a chokehold, waiting for the police to come, because he thought this guy was going to assault him or assault someone else on the train. Now, here's where it gets murky. I do not think for 1 second that Daniel Penny said, let me kill this Negro on the train. Again, we talked about it kind of in the last thing. Human beings kill each other, the same way that lions kill gazelles. That lion has no issue or animosity with that gazelle. It's business. It's almost like a business transaction. That gazelle is food to the lion. In this particular situation, Daniel Penny, who's like a Marine or a former active Marine, saw a threat by 30-year-old Jordan Neely. He saw it as a threat to him and his fellow New Yorkers, and he got up and he slapped a chokehold on the guy before he pulled out a knife or did something to someone because he wanted money and food. Now remember, Jordan Neely said, I don't care if I die. I don't care if I go to jail. I want money. Guys, if you have not experienced this, I envy you, but I have. And it's scary. It's unsettling. It happens to me almost every day. I was going to work the other day, and I'm waiting for the train down at the end of the platform because I like to be left alone. I got my earbuds going. I'm blasting Pantera off the goddamn Far Beyond Driven album, hitting my vape pen, waking up a little bit, And there was this guy who was so cracked out of his brain on methamphetamines or something. He's stumbling. He almost falls over a few times. And he's stumbling, big burly guy. He's stumbling up to people one by one and goes, you got any money? And they go, no. And he goes, you got any money? And he goes, bro, it is so effing insane that we have decided that this is just what we call Monday morning now. And he came over to me, and I always make sure to tell the mentally ill, drug-addicted homeless people when they come up to me, I raise my voice and I go, "Get the F out of my face before I stab you." And then they turn around and they walk away. Now, am I going to stab them? No, I don't even have a knife on me. But the point is, it is not okay to be bothering civilized people who are trying to go to work. We're the taxpayers, right? Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, I'm starting to sound like right-wing Rave here. It's not about the left or the right. It's about you're a taxpayer, you pay your taxes, you mow your goddamn lawn, you do whatever they tell you to do, and you just want to be left alone. Then you get harassed by drug addicts on the train. Anyway, former active Marine slaps a chokehold on the guy. Another person jumps up and tries to restrain the homeless, mentally ill guy who's going crazy. And he ends up putting that chokehold on him for like 15 minutes or so, and eventually he dies. And the coroner said that he died from suffocation. Now, this isn't like the George Floyd case, where there are a lot of different reasons why George Floyd died. The knee to his neck for 9 minutes didn't help, I'll tell you that much. But also, these guys, you have to understand physiology. When you have a shit ton of drugs in your system, you're more susceptible to dying than your average person. You're more susceptible to heart attack, right? You have someone with enough meth and coke in their systems or crack, you can come around a corner and scare them, their heart might give out. This is why you don't do drugs. But I can honestly tell you that Daniel Penny killed this guy on the train. And that is not okay. You see what I'm saying? It's not okay to harass people because you're a mentally ill drug addict. But it's also not okay to just choke someone out and kill them on a train. Again, we're trying to be civil. We're trying to be a civil society here. And I can tell you, man, I was on the train coming home from work one day. And the train's crowded, but I get off at the last stop. And, as the train goes on, there's less and less people until I realize it's just me and this older Caucasian guy sitting across from me. And he looks at me, and if you guys have seen pictures of me, or you know me in real life, I like to wear this military-style cap. It's not an actual military cap, but it's a military-style cap because baseball caps are for children. And he says to me, "Hey, man, is that a Marine cap? Are you a Marine?" Now, I had my earbuds in, and I don't talk to people on the train because they're all effing insane. And I just ignored him. He goes, "You don't hear me? You don't hear me, you effing faggot?" And I kind of read his lips, and I took my earbuds out, and I go, "What's your problem?" He goes, "Oh, now you want to talk, you effing nigga." And I'm like, wow, dude, really? Really? At my age, riding the train, I'm getting called the N-word. Okay, sure. Like it's 1893 all over again. And he looks at me and he goes, "I asked you a effing question, nigga. Is that a effing military hat?" And I just put my earbuds back and he goes, "Oh, you don't want to talk now? Well, I was in the Marines. Let me tell you what we used to do to faggots and niggas like you back when I was in the Marines." Now, this guy was probably 65 years old, but a threat is a threat. And he's just going on and on and on. And for 27 minutes, guys, I sat on that goddamn train getting called faggot and nigger by this old crazy white dude. Did I want to get up and choke this guy out? Man, let me tell you something. Allow me to break character for a second. They say that in order for you to do something, you have to be able to see yourself do it, and you have to have a plan. And me being a martial arts guy, I had 5 or 6 different plans of ending this old racist bastard. One of my plans was me standing up and grabbing the pole in the train and doing like a Batman move where I grab the pole and jump up and kick him with both my feet and smash his head into the background. Another was just me getting up and just punching him, give him like a right hook as hard as I can, shattering that orbital socket. And I thought about it, and it took everything I had to not brutalize this old crazy person. Eventually, we get to the last stop. He gets up, I get up. Now, I stand back to let him go, because I'm trying to defuse the situation. I stand back to let him go. He stops in the door and blocks my way from coming out the door. And he goes, "When I talk to you, you fucking answer me, nigga." Bro, I could have snap kicked this dude in the chest and broke all of his ribs. And I am trying desperately to not be violent. Because, violence is never the answer. Until it is. But I didn't hit this guy. I didn't kick him. I didn't do any of that. I just went to another door and I went out the train. He then comes up to me again and goes, "You want to fight, you fucking faggot?" Now, I've always said famously, there are probably more assholes on the planet than actual racists. But this right here is what we call a unique situation. And at that point, I raised my right hand like I was going to punch him. I go, get the fuck away from me. And he turned around, called me the N-word another 3-4 times, and he took off. But let's say I was having a tough day, or a rough day, or a horrible, no good, very bad day. And I go after this guy. And I punch him and I kick him and he falls down, he whacks his head and he dies. Should I be on the hook for murder? Well, I should be on the hook for something. But at the same time, guys, there are overly aggressive, mentally ill, homeless people that are sometimes drug addicts who just ride the train and will call you the N-word and will stick their face in your face and will try to steal your wallet. I saw some homeless guy trying to steal someone's phone the other day on the platform. And then he saw me kind of looking at him, and he moved on and tried to pick someone else's pocket. And I literally put my hand up on a platform of hundreds of people and said, everyone in this area, check your wallet, check your pocket. This dude right here was trying to steal. And then, of course, he took off and ran. It's getting crazy out there, guys. Now, New York, the mayor of New York had a new controversial thing where he just said, hey, look, if you're mentally ill, we're just going to take you off the street and put you in an asylum. And you have some people that are going, you're violating their rights. I look at it as you're saving their life, because just like when Bernard Goetz was on the train in 1983, some hoodlums came up to him and tried to rob him. He ended up shooting him. I think he killed one and shot the other ones. He was sick and tired of it, man. He was sick and tired of being harassed on the train. The same way this Marine, and I'm not justifying it because it's not, justifiable to kill an unarmed man. But this Marine was sick and tired of it. Me almost punching this crazy old guy on the train because I'm sick and tired of it. So we've got to do something. And I don't know if I have the answer, but I know the answer isn't to ignore the mentally ill drug addicts on the train. And I've called the MBTA and said, what's the official policy? Why are you guys letting these drug addicts take over? And their official response was, until they physically assault you, they're not a problem. Think about that for a second. You've got a volatile cocktail mix of mental illness and drug addiction, and they're free to roam until they hit you, and that hit could be a stab. There was just a situation the other day, a couple of weeks ago, where a mentally ill guy kicked someone off the platform into where the train comes. But lucky enough, this dude was young. He was like 16, 17, and he was able to get up. He had some cuts and scrapes and bruises. They then found this mentally ill person, and they had a bloody knife on him from when they stabbed someone in the face. We have got to do something about it, and when you ignore it, you're only making the problem worse. And it's not okay. So again, I don't have the answer, man, but this is what's going on the trains if you don't ride the trains. It's just, littered with mentally ill, crazy people, man. It's really unfortunate. I hope we can do something about it. I always call my political leaders, but they don't do anything. Anyway, I just wanted to speak on the matter because I know a lot of people really don't understand when they hear about someone, kicking the crazy person away from them or pushing them away from them. They almost always side with the mentally ill, crazy person. And I just wanted you guys to know, if you don't live deep in the city of New York, Boston, Los Angeles, it's out of control, and it's absolutely insane. That's going to wrap it up for me, man. I got shit to do. Leave your comments in the comment section. You got a solution? You think that we should just be nice to homeless people and let them assault us on the train? I want to hear your ideas on this. Maybe we can have a conversation. But until next time, man, watch your back riding the train. It's a jungle out there. Watch your back, protect your neck. And if you want to download this episode or any of my other episodes, my tech reviews, my podcast, my new music, ravexmusic.bandcamp.com. That's right, guys, ravexmusic.bandcamp.com. And shout out to my band, the greatest band you never heard of, Choose Your Power. You want to hear some of Choose Your Power? Guess what? ChooseYourPower.bandcamp.com, baby. It's easy. So thanks for listening. Share the show with a friend. I love you all. And until next time, enjoy yourself.
That was the Rave X podcast. Be sure to click like and subscribe. For podcasts, new music, and all things Rave X, go to youtube.com and search Rave X Music.